cute, cone-shaped mollusk, more like deadly, venomous creature that can pierce wetsuits with its little harpoon-shaped teeth. There are 600 of these guys, each deadlier than the last. So where can you find them? This is the Indo-Pacific Reef. Cone snails are some of the coolest looking animals you can find on the seafloor. However, whatever you do, don't pick one up. Unless you're an expert on cone snails, and you know which ones are poisonous and which aren't, then we advise you to stay away from them. There are hundreds of versions of cone snail, however, some have a special little poisonous harpoon inside their shell that they'll launch at anyone who threatens them. And don't think that a wetsuit would protect you. That little harpoon-like tooth is so powerful that it can pierce right through a wetsuit. So if you ever go to the Indo-Pacific and encounter a 6-inch cone snail, you should get out of the water and don't go back in until you know it's safe to do so. Next up, we have Sundarbans. This mangrove formed along 3 giant Indian rivers on the Bay of Bengal in one of the most dangerous regions in the entire world. And the simple reason for that is tigers. Yes, Sundartan tigers who are on the verge of extinction and protected by law. Enjoying their privileged position, the tigers of Sundartan can kill upwards of 50 people. Often they'll enter the villagers' homes and take the lives of the helpless humans in their sleep. Before they can even let out a scream, the tiger will drag out its victim and often the body will never be found. Wanting to protect the locals, the government has started training dogs on the streets, hoping to turn them into guard dogs. So now the once homeless canines on the street are proud protectors of the communities in which they live. Followed by Kruger National Park in South Africa. While there's a lot of wildlife in South Africa, watch out for the African buffaloes. That's these guys. You'll recognize them by those mustache-like horns on top of their heads. The African buffalo is known to smash that like button just like you should if you haven't done so already. But no, in all seriousness, it's known to attack people. They're very aggressive and everyone should stay away. They don't look intimidating from afar, but their unpredictable behavior can mean bad news for anyone who gets close. After all, they measure between 4 and 5 feet in height and weigh an incredible 1,840 pounds. Because of their terrible temper, they can attack at any moment. So if you're on an African safari, don't ever mess with these guys. Stick to the group and stay away from them. Don't forget about Vancouver. In the summer of 2021, in the span of 9 months, there were 40 wild coyote attacks. That's 4 times more coyote attacks than the total in the past 30 years. So is Vancouver Park becoming one of the most dangerous parks on the planet? Well, the scary thing is that experts don't know. They've tried to solve the problem by euthanizing a few animals, thinking that'd solve the problem, but if anything, that just worsened the problem. Experts have stated that there could be several reasons contributing to this. Some of them range from the increase in tourism in the region, the rampant feeding of the park's wildlife, and the misbehavior of humans when in contact with the animals. And then we have Colombia. This is the dart frog. It's cute, it's cuddly, and it's the most poisonous vertebrate on Earth. There are different species of dart frogs, many of whom are poisonous. However, none of them are more poisonous than the golden poison dart frog. This little guy has enough poison to kill 10 people. And all that batracha toxin is stored in its skin, so if you ever go trekking through a small patch of rainforest located on Colombia's Pacific coast, just make sure you don't touch these little guys. And if you do, then please don't lick your hands or touch your eyes. The poison's not strong enough to penetrate your skin. However, you should immediately wash your hands after handling this little guy. And don't think you'll mistake them for some other frog, because their bright colors indicate that this little guy means business. What about the Kenyan hyenas? Hyenas have to be some of the worst predators known to man. They're not as big as lions, but because they travel in packs, which sometimes number up to 130, they can be a serious threat to humans, especially if they start invading urbanized areas. In December of 2021, 20 hyenas attacked a man coming home from work in a small industrial village. And the alarming thing is that these attacks have become more and more frequent in Kenya. In the span of just 24 hours, hyenas took the lives of 2 people, just 30 miles east of Nairobi, the capital of Kenya. But this is one of the dangers as cities expand into the hunting grounds and migration areas of the Kenyan wildlife. Next come Zimbabwe and Mozambique. The black mamba is one of the most dangerous snakes in the entire world. It's not only poisonous, but also aggressive and highly irritable, making for a deadly combo. And sure, they can be found all over eastern and southern Africa. However, the main population is located in Zimbabwe and Mozambique. In fact, there are so many black mambas in these two countries that the IUCN has placed them on the red list habitat map. Some claim that this is the most dangerous snake in the world. They can grow up to 14 feet in length and reach a speed of 12.5 miles per hour. The snake bites are fatal unless the antivenom is administered as quickly as possible. Now, to avoid getting bitten, ensure you don't irritate the snake. Whenever it's cornered or feels threatened, the black mamba will raise its head and spread the neck flap to make itself seem more intimidating. Now, if the victim doesn't try to get away, they'll strike multiple times at them, ensuring they deliver enough poison to kill anyone it bites. We also have Texas. We all knew Texas was dangerous. We just didn't know how much. It's the state with the most animal attacks in the entire U.S. There are an average of 26 deaths per year, and in the past 20 years, there have been a total of 520 human deaths caused by animal attacks. But which animals are responsible for all these deaths? Well, according to the report, the three most dangerous animals appear to be bears, sharks, and snakes. Brown bears have killed 70 people, and sharks and snakes killed 57 people each. According to the experts, the number of animal-related deaths is closely tied to the density of the population, meaning the more people that come in contact with wildlife, the more fatalities there are. And now comes Queensland waterways. When it comes to dangerous regions on planet Earth, few come close to the Queensland waterways in Australia. Seriously, it's like this place was built as a human death zone. This place is infested with poisonous wildlife that's ready to attack at any moment. Seriously, just entering the water in Queensland might be a death sentence. Why? Because there are these little, barely noticeable jellyfish that are the size of a quarter, and yet they contain enough poison to kill a human being. Then we have the blue-ringed octopus, also a poisonous one. The cone snail, we already covered that. We have the stonefish, one of the most dangerous animals since you can step on them while walking between the rocks. And don't even get us started on the crocodiles, sharks, the brown snakes, the tiger snakes, the redback spider, and something called the paralysis tick. And of course, there's the Arctic. Few places are as harsh as the Arctic. And we're not even going to consider the cold weather and the inhospitable environment. We're talking about polar bears. Sure, there's other dangerous wildlife, but polar bears are the only animals that will actively hunt human beings. If the polar bear's hungry and sees some tourists getting close to them, they'll attack and try to kill anyone they could use as food. Of course, polar bear attacks are rare. However, we should note that very few tourists who visit the Arctic encounter polar bears. And don't even try to run from these 8-foot-tall, 1,600-pound animals. They're extremely fast, reaching a top speed of up to 50 miles per hour. So even Usain Bolt couldn't run away from them. Speaking of danger, we should tell you that one Norwegian archipelago found on the Arctic Circle has made it mandatory for anyone traveling away from the settlement to have equipment that'll offer appropriate means of frightening and chasing off polar bears. But it's not just Norway. There's also Canada, Russia, and Greenland. There's a total population of between 22,000 and 30,000 polar bears worldwide, and about 66% of polar bears live in Canada. So if you're a fan of bitterly cold weather, inhospitable environment, and 1,600-pound killing machines, then the Arctic it is. YouTube thinks you should watch this video next.